Have you ever been in a room where everyone is just losing their minds over a game on TV and you're just not feeling it at all? Yeah, if you've ever felt like an alien in your own living room during the playoffs, you are in exactly the right place. Because it turns out, not caring about sports isn't some kind of personal failing. It's actually a fascinating window into how your brain might be wired completely differently than the superfan right next to you. First, let's just let this number sink in. A full 60% of Americans call themselves sports fans. That is a massive majority of people who are deeply emotionally invested in the wins and losses of their teams. For most of the country, this is just the cultural air they breathe. So that leaves the other 40%. If you've ever felt like the odd one out in a sports bar, you've probably asked yourself this exact question. And believe me, the answer is so much more interesting than just, I don't like it. It's not a matter of taste.
Right, because we're not just talking about what you like to watch on a Sunday afternoon, we're talking about some pretty fundamental differences in our psychology, even our neuroscience. The great divide between fans and non-fans isn't just a social thing. It's literally in your head.
Okay, so let's get into our ancient programming for a second. We humans are tribal creatures. For thousands of years, belonging to a group wasn't just about survival, it was everything. It was about safety, resources, identity. Well, in the modern world, sports teams have kind of become our most powerful, most visible tribes. They just have way better merchandise. And here's where the chemistry kicks in. When a fan watches their team, their brain gets a huge flood of oxytocin. You know, the bonding hormone. This is the exact same chemical that connects you to your family, your kids, your partner. It literally makes these athletes on the screen feel like part of the clan. And this is where you can really see the split. The fan's brain gets a real kick out of this us versus them dynamic. It's pure, classic tribalism. Their personal identity literally gets a boost when the group succeeds. The non-fan, though, they tend to have lower tribal instincts. Their sense of self is more individualistic. They just don't need to be part of that bigger us to feel whole.
But, you know, it's not just about belonging. It's also about reward. There is a powerful chemical game happening inside a fan's brain that can be genuinely addictive. And it explains why. Sometimes they just can't look away.
So here's the key. It's a psychological principle called intermittent reinforcement. And it is the most powerful, most addictive reward schedule there is. See, a game is totally unpredictable, right? You never know if the next play is going to be amazing or a total disaster. That uncertainty makes the brain release dopamine, creating this super powerful and compelling loop that keeps you absolutely hooked.
And this quote just nails it. Watching sports can light up the exact same reward centers in your brain as pulling the lever on a slot machine. The mechanism is almost identical. The brain doesn't care where that dopamine hit comes from, it just knows it feels good and it wants more. So, what does this all mean for you, the non-fan? Well, it could just be that your dopamine system isn't wired to get a thrill from this kind of thing. In fact, research from the University of Chicago even suggests there are variations in our dopamine receptor genes that can predict how much we care about spectator sports. So, yeah, your indifference might literally be in your DNA. Okay, so this often leads to a huge misconception that people who don't like sports are somehow less passionate. And that's not true at all. It's really a question of empathy allocation. Think about it. Everyone has a finite amount of energy for deep caring. The real question is, where do you spend yours? And get this, a 2021 study found that people who have a little interest in sports score way higher on a key personality trait called openness to experience. This isn't just a coincidence. It points to a completely different channel for all that passionate energy. People who are high in this trait, they're drawn to new things, to art, to complex ideas, stuff that sports doesn't always deliver. So instead of pouring all that emotional energy into a team, non-fans are often directing it right here. They find that exact same intensity in music, in fighting for a social cause, in their own creative work, or in deep personal relationships. They're looking for the same things: meaning, connection, a rush. They're just finding it in experiences they can actually participate in, not just watch from the sideline. And that brings us to the final, and maybe most important difference, how each group finds a story to make sense of the world. The big question is, are you a spectator in somebody else's story? Or are you the main character in your own? So to understand the fans' world, you have to know this term, burgeoning. It stands for basking in reflected glory. It's basically a psychological shortcut for boosting your own self-esteem by attaching yourself to the success of your team. You hear this all the time, and it is the perfect example of burgeoning in action. When the team does well, fans say, "We won." But when they mess up, all of a sudden it's "they lost." Did you catch that little pronoun switch? It's a psychological shield. A non-fan is just less likely to need that because their self-worth isn't tied to something totally outside their control.
So really, it all boils down to this: two very different but totally valid ways of finding meaning. The fan makes what's called a parasocial investment in an external story. It's like a one-sided friendship with a team. You pour all this emotion into it, but it doesn't really pour anything back. The non-fan? They usually prefer direct engagement, investing their energy where there's a two-way street, where they are an active participant in their own story. So the next time you're feeling out of place during the big game, just remember this: you are not broken, you are not boring, you're not missing some essential human experience. Your tribal instincts, your brain's reward system, your search for meaning, they're all just tuned to a different frequency. And that is perfectly okay.
Ultimately, it really comes down to this. While millions are watching the game, you're free to play your own. So the real question is, in a life where you get to be the main character instead of just a spectator, what incredible things are you going to do with all that time and all that energy?